to New England Real Estate Journal Radio with Rick Kaplan, New England's source for commercial real estate news. This is New England Real Estate Journal Radio on the Money Matters Radio Network and online at moneymattersboston.com.
Welcome to the New England Real Estate Journal Radio Show. I'm Rick Kaplan with Eric Wilson, and today's show is brought to you by the New England Real Estate Journal, bringing together the commercial real estate industry for over 50 years. Find us at nerej.com. If you'd like to be a guest or sponsor for the show, call 800-654-4993 or email us at radio@nerej.com. Again, that's 800-654-4993 or email radio@nerej.com. Good morning, Eric.
Good morning, Rick. How are we doing?
Good. And we have in the studio with us is Dave Ableman, the Vice President of Operations of Protek, and also Morris Rodney is the Head of Commercial Accounts for Protek. Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Eric,
Yes.
so tell me all the things you've been up to this past week.
Oh, we did the great golf tournament out in Granite Links with Ira.
Great's my word.
Yeah, great is your word. But yeah, so it turned out to be I volunteered, so that was a lot of fun. And I got to sit out at the hole 6 where they were going for the hole-in-one to win the Toyota.
How many people won?
I enjoyed sitting. Did anyone get it? No. It was closest one was like, I want to say 3 yards to the pin, maybe 9 feet. It was really close. It was a great shot, but that was really cool to get to watch all those opportunities. I was much happier than being like at a par 4 or something. That would have been awesome.
Who was sponsoring that hole?
That hole was sponsored by Thayer & Associates.
Oh.
Yeah.
And no one won the Toyota.
No one won it. I think they've been doing it now for about 4 or 5 years, and no one's won it yet.
It's funny? The car is 4 or 5 years old
right,
now.
There has been there was someone who did. You had to pay $10 to enter the contest, even if you did get a hole-in-one.
Right.
So if you got a hole-in-one, you didn't pay $10. Someone did that, actually. Like I believe they said 4 years ago, someone actually hit a hole-in-one, but didn't join in and pay the $10, so they didn't get the car. But I mean, a hole-in-one still for any of you golfers out there is still an enormous feat.
Yeah,
so
it's not easy.
Pretty
I am a
happy.
golfer, and it's not easy to get a hole-in-one.
How many do you have?
Let's see. None.
Oh, nice. Moya, who recently retired from IRM, she used to be the assistant. She's got 3 on her belt.
She's at what?
She has 3 hole-in-ones. She was
3 hole-in-ones.
The last one she got was when she was turned 70.
Wow.
Yeah, and so she was telling me about that, so I thought that was pretty amazing. But yeah, the event went without a hitch. Check out YouTube channel IRM for the video interviews they did at the dinner at the end of the night too.
You should also check out our YouTube channel
Always.
with all our new shows.
Right.
We're adding
see
more
our
and
pretty
more every
faces.
week.
Yeah, you get to see our pretty faces, our radio faces.
That's right. And that's why we're doing the YouTube shows, because more and more people said it was such a waste not to have these good-looking guys on the be able to watch.
Right. They just couldn't know what we looked like too. You know,
That's
facial
right.
recognition is huge.
And it's funny because I watch it every week, and I'm amazed how good-looking I am myself.
I know. We're all amazed how good looking you think you are. But yeah, the YouTube channel, we're pumping out shows left and right now. We have over 100 videos, a lot of great interviews, and you can go back. It's very easy to go through the whole playlist, and rather than just the audio that we have on our website, if you want to go through the archived radio shows.
And it's funny how far we've come, and I told you this morning because I was listening to some of our first shows. We're coming up to our 100th show.
Right.
And some of our first shows were horrendous.
It's funny.
I can't even believe we got through 5 shows.
It's funny when we go back, and I've only listened to a couple of those shows early. I didn't even listen to the show for the first 3 months. I have my own embarrassment. You know, when you hear yourself, you're like, oh, my Lord, that was terrible. But, yeah, I mean, we're much more confident, and you can tell by the way we carry the show than we did in the beginning. We used to read everything.
Yeah, well, it was
you
difficult.
still read most of it, but
I
had to read everything back in the day.
I mean, I have to get directions every time we come to the studio. But, I can't believe, it was difficult at the beginning. We were getting guests. No one knew about the show.
Right.
And it was really the first in this area for commercial real estate. We haven't had shows for commercial real estate.
No.
So and especially podcasts.
Right. We were one of the first people to do it, and podcasts has become very huge for business, especially with iTunes and how people want to balance their time, make it more efficient. Going in the car ride instead of listening to your local, 92.9 or AM stations or 98.5 The Hub.
Well, now people can listen on their phone right in their car. Just plug it right in the car.
Put it on iTunes, and now you can listen to 20-minute podcasts that are industry specific. That just makes your time much more efficient.
Yeah. Now, before we go to a break, I also want to mention September 25th, Providence Hilton, our New England Real Estate Journal Cocktails and Conversations will be going on from 6 to 9. If you haven't gotten your tickets yet, you can go to, just contact me at radio@nerej.com, and I can forward you the link. But we have quite a crowd that's going to be there.
We broke the 100.
We have the City of Warwick, Rhode Island, as the platinum sponsor with the City Center, which is part of TF Green and the mall and the hotel there.
Big project they're doing.
Yes, and we also have Eldorado Stone. We have
Washington
Trust. These are all sponsors of the event.
CBRE.
We have
Sherry and Hayes, right?
No, Cushman and Wakefield.
Sorry.
Bad plug. Hayes and Sherry.
Right, Hayes and Sherry.
He's a little dyslexic.
That one, I mess it up all the time. I'm the
New England Restaurant Brokers. We have a few more, but like I said, my memory isn't that good. I have to be trained every week to find how to get to the studio.
And you get to meet the associations that represent the local chapters of Rhode Island.
And all the associations will be there. IREM, USGBC.
IFMA Boston's going down there
IFMA Boston
to expand.
Ricey,
right?
Rickabore, they're all going to be there.
Right, you get to find out more about how they can help your business and what they do, and some of their networking events that they put on for their members as well as their friends. So, it's always a great event. Everyone should go check it out, even if you only have a few minutes. Stop by. You'll have the opportunity to network.
They're great networking events.
Right. I mean,
all of the others that we have put on have produced quite a bit of business among the people that have attended.
It's funny that most events are usually educational series, conferences, trade shows, things like that. Our show is directed toward networking. It's about introducing people and meeting people.
And the face-to-face relationship is always going to be the best.
Of course. Well, especially when you get to see these two faces, right?
That's right. What's that laugh, Adam? What's that all about, huh?
Our producer's leaving
Thank God we took a mic away from Adam.
Yeah, we tired of his mic, so we can't even speak, which is better for everybody.
Well, we're gonna go to a break.
Sweet.
And we're
gonna find out about refurbishing, correct?
Yes.
Nice.
We're going to come back and talk with Dave Ableman, Vice President of Operations, and Morris Rodney, Head of Commercial Accounts for Protek. But today's show is brought to you by the New England Real Estate Journal, bringing together the commercial real estate industry for over 50 years. Find us at nerej.com. If you'd like to be a guest or sponsor for the show, call 800-654-4993 or email us at radio@nerej.com. Again, that's 800-654-4993 or email radio@nerej.com, and we'll be right back on Money Matters Radio Network.
The next level in commercial real estate. This is New England Real Estate Radio on the Money Matters Radio Network and online at moneymattersboston.com. Rick Kaplan on the Money Matters Radio Network and online at moneymattersboston.com.
And we're back on New England Real Estate Journal Radio. I'm Rick Kaplan with Eric Wilson. And we have in the studio with us today is Dave Ableman, Vice President of Operations, and Morris Rodney, Head of Commercial Accounts for Protek. Protek is Dave or Morris?
Well, Protek does and provides on-site refurbishment services. And we're going to get into refurbishing and what it means, what it does, and how it functions. But all of our services are provided for on-site, which means we come into a client's facility at night, during the weekend, or off hours, even during holidays, and provide the services that will be outlined very shortly. And there's no additional cost for coming in the off hours, but our aim is to provide the services without any disruption to the facility, to the operations, and the daily routine. And that's basically what Protek provides, and we do it all.
So what is refurbishing?
Good question. David, do you want to handle that one?
Thank you. Sure. First off, when people think of refurbishing, if you look at the dictionary, it's going to give you some sort of a definition about making things cleaner and brighter and fresher, etc. But when people think about, refurbishing for facilities, it's very much misunderstood how and when it fits in. It's a concept that most facility managers, property managers, the like, just really haven't gotten a grasp around. When people think of the word refurbishing, they often think of it in conjunction with something like wood, and they're thinking refinishing. Now, of course, refinishing is taking the surface off something and redoing the surface of it. So with other surfaces, say upholstered surfaces, they get dirty, and when people think about getting them clean and they don't come clean enough, people think I got to throw them out or reupholster them. But refinishing actually comes in at effectively a lower cost entry point in the scheme of things. In fact, it's more like a preventative maintenance. A lot of people know that they need to keep their car and change the oil on their car regularly, or the car's going to go bad. But what people don't understand is how refurbishing, and we actually have a white paper that's available on the website that validates it, on-site refurbishing actually helps cut costs. It helps enforce sustainability, which is a big issue today. It also helps increase productivity, and all while extending the lifetime value of furniture.
So now, what you're talking about is like if you're talking about a property or a facility, when you go into like the waiting area, for instance, I'm sure there's other parts of it, but you go in there and they have a sofa and a waiting area, and that type of furniture you would maintain for them?
Well, think of it in larger terms, such as a conference room, for example. You've got a large facility where you've got nice furnishings that need to be kept up to par. And facilities managers are charged with keeping the place clean and neat, but oftentimes they overlook the conference room dings and the scratches and the coffee spills and the nicks and gouges and the destruction of the conference room furnishings, including the leather or the upholstered surfaces. You even get scuff marks on the doors or on the walls. All of these detract from that conference room and detract from the presence, if you will, and the comfort level people might have with that company, most of which is, by the way, subliminal. People don't think that, but we all know that if you dress for success, you're going to be more productive. If you go to a black tie affair with a tie on and don't have a bow tie, it's kind of not quite up to snuff. So if you go into a conference room and it's not quite up to snuff, subconsciously, you're really not as effective as you might be.
Well, I can see that. I can understand that.
Yeah.
You know, if I went into a conference room and all the chairs were ripped and the tables, the legs are falling off and things like that, I wouldn't be too impressed with that company.
Exactly. The reason that happens is, and people just don't realize and understand it, is when you have wood, quality woods, oil, teak, rhizome, and or walnut, and you don't service it, or leather, and it expands and contracts, both expand and contract with the changing seasons. And if there's a lack of moisture in the atmosphere and the environment, then the changing seasons will allow the wood to dry out and crack, the leather to split and separate and lose its suppleness.
So is that something that you would do? You would go into these companies that have the conference room and maintain
Correct.
their
Once a year, every
conference
couple of years, every 6 months, depending upon the use and abuse and the lack of moisture in the atmosphere. So aside and apart from wood and leather, there's also upholstery. People sit down on a chair and they get dirty eventually, and they need to be cleaned. And if you don't clean them, not only do they generate dirt from the hands and the fingerprints and the grease, but they generate a thing called dust mites. And dust mites are a serious problem in the business environment today. Dust mites generate a feces dust, and that's a bacteria. And that bacteria, infestates the entire building. The atmosphere goes through the air conditioning system. And so keeping an environment clean goes a long way to keeping the bacteria levels down, which goes a long way to preventing employee absenteeism, as legitimate employee absenteeism, as a result of sick building syndrome.
In fact, dust mites themselves are the number 2 reason for asthma.
Really?
Yep.
Well, I think
all science fact.
I might take a half day because I'm
Feeling a little dust mitey.
I-
My dust mites are acting up.
yeah, right.
I have a question about. So, I understand like most because we work in an office, so obviously it's easy for us to understand. How many people miss cleaning chairs and desks and things like that? Like, because don't they usually hold that responsible for the person who sits in it? Because I can imagine like.
Well, I don't think they hold that
so when
person
you
that
hi-
sits in it responsible
So
for
you
anything.
hire
on the office.
you hire an office cleaner. They usually come in and clean your floors, clean the areas. you
Janitorial
walk.
services,
Right.
yes. Right.
So most, I'm sure, think, okay, I just clean the office, but that doesn't even count for all the stuff you were just talking about, like the furniture. The
No.
Yeah, no one
desks.
cleans your chair.
That's what
No.
I mean. So why aren't people doing this already?
They just don't think of it. They really don't. That's the sad part of it. They don't think about it. I mean, you think about an employee or an executive coming into their office environment day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year, and their chair doesn't get cleaned. Their desk doesn't get treated and preserved. The wood, the leather, the doors, the wooden doors surrounding them, the walls, I mean, they've got to be washed. The carpet has to be cleaned. Yes, some of those things are done ancillary by the building maintenance people. But for the most part, it's the other items that are overlooked and forgotten about.
Right.
Well, isn't there also odor problems?
There can be, absolutely.
You know, I mean, especially if it's a cloth seat.
Yeah,
I mean, that's going to absorb all kinds of odors.
absolutely.
Especially if different people sitting in that.
And they eat at their desk.
That's right. They'll eat at it.
Yeah.
Mine is covered with like ketchup and tomato sauce.
Aren't those the same thing for you? Well, we just got into some really scare tactics for me. I mean, I'm going to go back to my office and be like, what is wrong with my leather chair? I'm going to check
Yeah.
it. Now, with windows in conference rooms, and like you were saying with its seasons, it also changes with the sunlight that comes through windows.
Correct.
Correct?
Yes.
Correct. So you'll see some fadings of the woods, for example.
Right. And you guys will go in and refurbish that as well and take those away.
Correct.
Correct.
And it's all done on site.
Right.
So there's no inconvenience to the facility by having to remove the items and
Right.
pay extra for the elevator operator to come in and then a company and put them on top of the. You ever see how they take out conference tables?
Yeah, you go through the window.
Yeah. Well, not only that, but no. Sometimes what they'll do is they'll ride them on top of an elevator, and they bring in the elevator company, and they stop the elevators, and they take the elevator and they bring it on the top of the elevator because most of those tables don't fit in
Right.
in regular elevators. So it's kind of a nightmare thing to be able to have to wait until the table needs to be refinished and then carry it out. We can service it before and keep it so it looks good throughout the duration of its life.
And once you have it refurbished, you said there's plans of 6 months, 1 year.
It depends on the wear and tear.
Right.
If you get a conference room that sees people every single day, day in and day out, it's going to
Lawyers'
need
offices.
something more frequently than not.
Right.
If you've got a common area, for example, you've got a luncheon area that people sit at the wooden tables that they gather around. Again, another interesting stat, your tables in your restaurants are not quite as dirty as the seats, which are the dirtiest. If you ever notice, people put their hand down first on a seat. So if you're going to get sick going to a restaurant or going into a conference room office, you're probably going to pick it up off of the seat, believe it or not. And all of those are significantly, your desk is about 400 times dirtier than a toilet seat. Sorry to tell you, but that's...
Yeah.
Wow.
My
Glad
seat
you
is
guys came
usually a
on
toilet
today.
seat.
I'm in my office like I'm in the germ fest. I'm like Michael Jackson before you know it. I'm in
yeah.
a bubble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, but I never even thought of you clean the seat, but you're right. I mean, the seat is probably the dirtiest part of the office.
You would have to assume it anyway, just because that's where your butt is.
Yeah, but you have always.
It's not your butt.
Right.
It's if you watch somebody go in and sit down, go to a restaurant. I saw this actually on the news several months back. They were going through all the issues in a restaurant. What's the dirtiest? And the seat, because people put their hands on it and it never gets cleaned.
Right. Okay.
So they'll clean the tables, but they don't clean the seats.
Yeah, that is bizarre.
And again, same thing in conference rooms. The conference room table might get wiped down, but the seats.
Right. Probably never.
But I think if you're maintaining all of your furniture as well, you're going to have some longevity to it.
Correct.
So
That's
you're not
the
going to be replacing it on a regular basis.
Right.
That's the huge value proposition, is extending the lifetime of the furnishings, whichever they are, whether it's an upholstered surface that you're cleaning to make it look prettier, or whether it's treating the woods or the leathers to make them last longer. And again, with sustainability issues being top of mind today for facilities managers, we're at a crossroads, like a perfect storm. People want to cut their costs, and if you implement a preventive maintenance program like refurbishing, that's in the long term cost savings. It also, as we talked about, improves the productivity of the workers and decreases absenteeism. So there's a lot of pieces that people don't get the value of refurbishing, but they typically don't think about it until something is wrong. We live in a world where people are reactive, and they need an immediate fix, but only when it's broken.
Right.
Yeah. Now, would you also do reupholstering?
We can offer reupholstering. That can be a service that's part of it. But again, at the end of the day, that's considered, you have to look at it holistically. When you look at a facility and all of the things going on, some of the responsibilities of the facility management team that's been outsourced, some of the responsibilities of the tenants, and you have to look at the bigger picture of who's responsible for what and how it fits in. And that's what we do. In fact, the best way to approach this type of a service is to have somebody come in and do an analysis. Do an assessment.
The reason I say reupholster, because you know, if
Because he's got a couch in his in his attic, he's done.
No, I'm saying, you know, if you're in a conference room and
Right.
it gets used quite a bit, even though
Right.
they're maintaining,
Right.
The wear and tear, it could rip it.
Correct.
You know, so instead of replacing all the chairs, you know, you just have to redo that one chair.
Reupholstering can be done. That is like resurfacing, refinishing a wood surface. Those are done off-site. Everything else is done on-site. Minor repairs can be done on-site, but true reupholstering, you got to take it out.
Now, Morris, you were mentioning that the walls and the doors. Do you also do that type of work where you would refinish
Yes,
the
as
wall?
a matter of fact, that's a very good question. We provide any and all kinds of services that would be needed in an office environment. And if you don't see it on our list, just ask us. As a matter of fact, we got a call from Ryan Seacrest Productions. They were doing a Wahlburgers thing in Faneuil Hall a few weeks back. I don't know if you heard of that.
Well, I've never heard of Ryan Seacrest.
Yeah. Okay.
But I like the Wahlburgers burgers.
Yeah, Wahlburgers too. And they called us for a unique job. They wanted us to assemble and finish a number of tables for providing the hamburgers on. And they asked us to do a job that we, quite frankly, found somewhat challenging, but we did it. The tables were shipped in from, I think, Sweden. We assembled them, finished them, and then shipped them to Faneuil Hall for use during this festive event. And they were extremely pleased. I don't know anybody else in the area that could have done the job. And we only had 3 days to do it.
Wow. So you guys are quick on top of it.
Yeah, we jump right on it. Exactly. And our uniqueness is being able to go out and provide a no-cost, no-obligation survey to the customer, discovering what particular problems currently exist in the environment, and then submit the report at no cost.
Well, we're going to go to a break. When we come back, I want to talk a little more about the on-site part of your business,
Okay.
how that works.
All right.
We're talking with Dave Ableman, Vice President of Operations, and Morris Rodney, Head of Commercial Accounts for Protek, and we'll be right back on Money Matters Radio Network.
Nice.
Rick Kaplan and Eric Wilson, right here on the Money Matters Radio Network and online at moneymattersboston.com. New England Real Estate Journal Radio.
And we're back on New England Real Estate Journal Radio. I'm Rick Kaplan with Eric Wilson. And we've been talking with Dave Ableman, Vice President of Operations, and Morris Rodney, Head of Commercial Accounts for Protek. And before we went on the break, we were talking a little bit about the on-site part of your business, but we also wanted to find out a little more about the history of Protek and when it started up and
How you guys
how
get
it's
into this
grown.
business?
Mm-hmm. Well, I might as well start. When I was discharged from the Army, I got home from Korea, and I really had no formal education and no guidance. I was like, what am I going to do with my life? So I got a job working for a janitorial company, and I started learning how to clean toilets. And from there, I went into all sorts of miscellaneous items during the course of my career. And then I joined Protek, and I've been with Protek, and we've been doing refurbishing services for many years. Now it's over 50. And so consequently, we've graduated into the new era of maintenance and taking care of items in an office that, companies spend, well, literally millions of dollars of their hard-earned money on. Then they should protect them, and so we're doing that now. And Protek's been around for over 50 years.
You said you served in the military and you didn't learn how to clean toilets there?
Well,
I was in the military too, and
you
I
had to learn
learned.
how to clean toilets.
We
I didn't
did,
know there was a class on
Yeah,
that.
but you could get paid for that in civilian life. Yeah, you can get paid for that. You
But
also
how
get-
much training is involved in that?
There actually is a lot of training because you have to clean the
Hands-on
toilet
training.
properly. Yeah, it's hands-on. Thank you,
I can
David.
imagine.
That's cute. Yeah, and back in the day, we weren't even using brushes.
Sounds like the military days for me.
Plastic gloves and washcloths.
And a toothbrush?
Sponges. Yeah.
Nice.
So, and then of course everything was tile floors, so we were washing and waxing tile floors. Then we started. I don't know if you remember, but there was a thing called kitchen carpeting. No,
No,
this is
when I
going
was
back.
around.
Okay,
That's-
Unfortunately, I do remember.
you remember kitchen
I
carpeting?
have been in kitchens. Well,
With carpets?
Yeah, kitchen carpeting. Right, it was an outdoor carpet.
yeah, it was like an indoor-outdoor carpet.
Right. We used to
Like
to
field
clean
turf?
kitchens. Yeah, we were cleaning kitchen carpeting.
Nice.
So, thank God
That's
we
what-
graduated from that.
Yeah, right.
And then went to vinyl asbestos, and then it went to ceramic tile. So the whole industry has evolved, and Protek's claim to fame is being able to do all of this work on site.
Right. I was going to say, so what goes with, as you guys just explained, the evolution of what's been going on, does that mean you guys have constantly upgrading in your practices?
Yep.
You have to
Absolutely.
know the new products that are coming out as well, and all the research that goes into that.
Oh, good question, David. Talking about the green.
Well, green movement is huge. So
Right.
understanding
Yeah,
sustainability is
sustainability.
big, and making sure that whatever chemicals we're using are compliant
Mm-hmm.
with regulations to make sure that we're green certified. Plus, when you deal with commercial operations, you have to make sure if you're dealing with furnishings that you're using things that are compliant with fire codes.
Right.
So there's a whole lot of small pieces, but actually quite significant, that a lot of people overlook or aren't familiar with. So yeah, we have to stay on top of that. We have to continually educate ourselves on some of the best practices. Different techniques come out for flooring, for example. There's some newer stuff around flooring. People change habits. In the old days, we used to actually clean the ceiling tiles that would be smoke covered when everybody smoked inside the buildings. That's no longer an issue. So we don't really need to do that service anymore. But so we change with the times.
Right. But people still should clean their tiles. And
Right,
What about
they do
mildew
get
and
dusty
things
and things
all
like
other
that.
stuff?
They do, but it's a different practice. It's
Right.
a different process.
They don't turn from white to yellow.
You don't have to
Smoke.
white them again. Correct.
But a lot of companies now have the filtering systems that they put in. We were at one of the shows. and
Nice.
I can't.
Good memory.
I can't remember what show it was, but it was.
Way to bring it up.
But they had lighting fixtures that had a filtering system in it for
Right.
hospitals.
Right, right.
But I'm sure there probably is product like that
l-
that you can replace your fluorescent lights with that type of filtering system.
There is.
Yeah.
So there's another thing you can get into.
My question is, what happens when people don't do this? What if they don't refurbish? I mean, does it have the significance that we've been talking about besides the dust mites and the ugliness of going to a place that may not be, clean, so I'm not as happy?
Well, you also customers or clients come into your place. I would think that would be a deterrent.
Well, that's what I was asking. Things like
One of
that.
the things you want to think about is when you walk into a restaurant and you go through the front door, and if the front door is greasy and grimy and got black residue from years of accumulated grime, then you can just imagine what their kitchen looks like.
Right.
So
The
it's the
steak and
first-
cheese must be unbelievable.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the first impression walking into
Right.
that restaurant is the lasting one. And so it's the same thing when you walk into an office environment. You want to see the reception area looking beautiful. When you go into that conference room and you sit down, you want the table to glisten. You want the chairs to smell great if they're leather. You need to smell that leather, that crisp leather. You don't want to walk in and see a dull table scratched and nicked with the veneer starting to separate, because that's what happens. There are a number of tables that I've seen when I go into conference rooms, and I just say, oh, if I could only carry this table around with me every day and show people this is what happens when you don't take care of your furniture.
Right.
This is exactly what happens. And fortunately, the administrator or the facilities manager is there with us. So we're able to show this is what happens.
Right.
And now we're beginning to take pictures of these before and after. So
Right.
people-
That was my follow-up question. Do you
Yeah.
have before and afters of some of your stuff?
We've
so
been
people-
starting to do that
Nice.
because it really shows the end result. And at the end of the day, that's what people care about is the end result.
Plus, I'd also assume with the before picture, people can kind of relate to that and see, okay, I'm there right now. I can see this looks a lot like my table.
Yeah.
I might need to be refurbished so I can have mine
Wow.
shining like them.
Wow, where have you been all our lives?
This is what I do. Marketing's my game.
Wow.
Well, you bring up a very interesting point, because what we have learned in some cases is and this is part of the reason we're doing the before and after, believe it or not, if we didn't have a before and one of the executives came in after and saw, they wouldn't know what the difference was.
Right.
But now the guy who paid for it has the ability to validate, well, this is what it used to look like,
Right.
and now here's what it looks like. And there goes the value, sky high. To answer your other question a little more that Morris was talking about before, in terms of what happens if they don't. When people don't change the oil in their car, something's going to go wrong. Well, if you don't oil the woods and the leathers, they will dry out, they will crack. And once they've cracked, repairs are a lot more expensive. And then they become unsightly, and leathers crack, and you're going to have to replace them. So the replacement cost is significant. So
the cost at the end is really what's the big
the
reason why you should.
long-term cost is the big driver, and that's the big driver in most businesses these days. In fact, when people talk about green, I'm green going back to the 70s. I was involved in the first Earth Day, so that's actually one of the things that attracted me to this particular business is the sustainability of it, the practice of sustainability. Because if you understood the manufacturing process and how much goes in, I'll give you another stat. I'm an engineer, so we tend to do these things. You collect garbage at your house. One bag of garbage that goes out your door took about 70 bags of garbage to produce the pieces that went into that one bag of garbage that you have. So if you eliminate that one bag of garbage by virtue of not having to buy something new, you've eliminated 71. So by retaining the value of your furnishings and extending their life, you're actually, that's a big important aspect to me is the sustainability piece.
Well, that's a good point. I never thought of it that way, but you're absolutely right.
Okay, I have another two-part question just based on that. So one, I can see how on TV, this is a huge thing. Taking older things and making them shine again and bringing them back to life, almost like resuscitating some furnitures. I can understand why there must be a huge movement recently, especially with the way the TV's gone. And then the second thing is, how do you guys combat the millennials like myself who new is the number one word that we like to hear, as opposed to the older Generation X and stuff like that, who love refurbishings, who love
Well, I
bringing
think
things back to life.
millennials like that as well.
Millennials are into sustainability too.
Yes, that is
Millennials
true.
are much greener. So if you talk that language to the millennials, they're all over it. If you talk to the other generation or the financial side of the house in a corporation, they're all over the money aspect. So
Yeah, and I don't think when you talk about,
I would say
especially-
new just because, like,
Yeah,
you
but
think about
I-
cell phones,
yeah,
you
but
think
I
about
thi-
computers.
Yeah, but I
everything's in
think when you
next-
talk
next year
about
you're buying
furniture,
something new.
when you talk about furniture, I don't think contemporary is as popular to the millennials or even older generations.
Yeah, maybe. I'm not. That's why I was asking. I'm not.
I mean, you have a small percentage that are really into the contemporary look of furniture. I think more people are into like antiquish look or more colonial or
New Englandish.
New England, especially
Yeah.
around here.
Yeah, I was
Yes,
gonna say.
right, right. But
All right.
but
So
now
thanks, Rick, for answering that. How you guys combat that? I appreciate Rick's answers.
well, I
Yeah,
do
he's
know
like, I'm a
most
millennial
things.
and a Generation Xer.
No, but I wanted to get into the on-site part of their business and what that entails and
They work 5 to 9. Rather
5 to
than
9
9
and
to
Saturday and
5.
Sunday.
Yeah, right. I mean, that's pretty much what your business model.
Pretty much.
Well, I'm glad you could answer that for me.
You're welcome. I just figured I'd throw my 2 cents in too, Rick.
The business model was really driven by what we determined was in the best needs for the customer.
Mm-hmm.
Because at the end of the day, the customer doesn't want to be disrupted. I've got people who are working in these conference rooms. You can't go in there and clean them when they're in there.
Right.
So that's why the janitorial staffs come after hours as well, because it would decrease their productivity.
Mm-hmm.
So that's in and of itself a big reason. It's driven by what the customers or clients are requiring to run their businesses.
Mm-hmm.
And doing it on site also decreases the interruption, because let's face it, if you've got to clean or fix and refurbish some tables, you want to take them off site? No, because they still need them on the day-to-day basis. So again, while some firms might do it, take it off site and give you another to use in its place, then you've got to pay extra costs for the transportation of the borrowed and the rented. So those costs go away. So
yeah,
at the
there's
end,
another element to the on-site, though, and that is there are a lot of offices, a lot of buildings that have elevator lobbies. They have stainless steel doors that get damaged, dirty, that need to be serviced. They have wooden walls. We just did a large job in one of the high-rise buildings in downtown Boston. There were 7, 8 floors of wooden, complete wooden walls surrounding the elevator cabs and doors that needed to be serviced. The wood was drying out and fading. The veneer was starting to separate. You could see the separations between where the veneer was put together on the walls. So certainly those cannot be removed, and they don't want to replace.
That would really be a large cost.
Yeah. So by just making them aware of what we did, they were like, "Oh, wow, you can do that."
So I have
So
a
they did
question.
it.
What about like medical facilities? And I'm sure that their chairs have to be refurbished and all that. What about when they don't have off business hours? Do you still go on site? Would you still be there? I mean, they probably can't.
Good
close
question.
down.
What we'll do in that case is we'll go in during off hours when the office is not in operation. Take
Okay.
the chairs out of the medical portion, put them into the office, service them in the office, and then put them back.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I was
So-
thinking schools too must have also this. It must be a dire need for them. I'm sure most teachers clean desktops, but they probably don't clean the desk seat.
Correct.
You know, I mean, now that you've told me that seats don't get cleaned, I can only imagine there's
That's
not
right.
seats getting cleaned anywhere.
Yeah.
You could probably do the subways too.
That's all right. I have a new one of those hazmat suits that I'm going to start wearing to work.
Yeah, I know, right?
oh, not just to work. You got to wear that if you go to a church or a temple, just as much. You
Yeah,
sit in
right.
the pews and
Any of those things, all those places. I mean,
Absolutely.
no one cleans seats.
Yeah.
No one ever thinks about cleaning seats.
No one ever cleans the pews,
Yeah,
ever.
right.
No one ever services the wood, and the result is they dry out and they crack.
And then
they
people go
start to
buy new ones.
And they have
That's
the
right.
corners separate from each other, the corners of the floor where it's mounted to the floor, and the seats themselves turn black with grime. And
You
if
should see the
if you
pictures.
go in there on a humid day, and your body's warm, you're going to stick to the seats.
Yeah.
You're going to stick to the pews.
Right.
Oh, I know.
Now, if someone is interested and they want to find out how to have their furniture refurbished, and
Well, you guys said you
Yeah.
guys go out and do a
Wow.
free.
how would they get a hold of you?
Oh, I'm glad you asked that question. David, go ahead.
So we have a brand new website. The old site was, 17, 20 years old.
Yep.
And actually today is perfect, because at noon today we're going to be launching the new site. It still uses the same URL, www.protekcorporation.com. And that's going to be the primary vehicle for people to understand us. The challenge in today's world, quite frankly, is getting in the door. Most people in the old days, we could walk around. We could go downtown in Boston and knock on the door or just walk in and point out, you've got these scuff marks on the wall, you've got these damaged tables, and people could visually see, oh, well, yeah, maybe that could be addressed, and we can do a quick survey while we're there. No cost to do that.
Right.
So we could walk in and do that. In today's world, you can't walk in any of those buildings. You have to be invited. So the challenge is to let people know that this service does exist, and then give people the vehicle to assess, is this for them? And so, a website is a huge piece of that. Plus, we're putting together some other areas to, from a marketing perspective, at least, to help get the word out that people can know about this.
And is there a phone number?
That there is.
And I suspect that was a hint to give it to you.
Yeah,
And-
well, unless it's unpublished, but I don't.
No, it wouldn't be.
It's on list.
Yeah.
The phone number would be 781-963-8813. That's 781-963-8811. I'm sorry, 8813. I'm using my radio voice.
It came out well. It
968.
was very good. We really appreciate you guys coming on today.
Yeah, and I want you to stick around because in our next segment, we're going to find out a little bit about Morris has a special trait that he wants to talk about. So we'll be right back on Money Matters Radio Network.
New England's commercial real estate scene is covered right here on the Money Matters Radio Network with Rick Kaplan. Rick Kaplan is right here on the Money Matters Radio Network.
And we're back on New England Real Estate Journal Radio. I'm Rick Kaplan with Eric Wilson, and we have in the studio with us Dave Ableman, Vice President of Operations, and Morris Rodney is the Head of Commercial Accounts for Protek. Protek spelled
Protek.
See, I gave Eric that job.
Yeah, nice
too.
little segue. I appreciate it. It's an alley-oop.
Yeah, we didn't want anyone to, we wanted everyone to know how the Protek was spelled, because
Right.
if you do go to look for them on Google, I'm sure you had to
Yes.
spell it right.
Yeah. Or
That
just go directly to Protek Corporation, all one word, all spelled out.
Yeah,
.com.
and the website again? It was
Yeah, it's Protek Corp.
ProtekCorporation.com.
Yep, all spelled out.
But before we went on the break, I was telling everyone about
Morris's hobby.
his special trick
Oh.
that he has that he can offer when he goes to clients, I'm sure.
And I do from time to time. And I do it especially when I go into a doctor's office, because the doctor will treat me differently. He'll make sure I get good care. 'Cause
Really?
He wants to see a joke. He wants to see a magic trick or have a joke told to him when I go in the next time. They love it.
Nice. For all those who don't know, Morris is a magician. And
Not Morris, Magic Mo.
Magic Mo,
Magic
sorry.
Mo.
Magic Mo. And are you going to do a trick for us?
I will after we go off the air.
Nice. We'll have that on our
don't know.
video, but we'll add that to our video at the YouTube
I don't know
channel.
what kind of tricks he's talking about now.
We're going to put it on our YouTube channel.
All I know is that wasn't there a
He's like
movie with
Yep, Steve Carell, and that's who he is.
no, it wasn't
Oh.
with Steve Carell. It was with
Jim Carrey, he's also in that same movie.
No,
Oh.
you're confusing me.
I know, I'm
Eric.
just throwing
it doesn't
names out.
take
This
much.
is what I do.
Where they were male strippers.
Magic Mike?
Oh, it's
Of
Magic
course,
Mike.
Adam.
Magic
Of course, our
Mike.
producer knows. I jumped right. He's like, my favorite movie. Oh, I had to watch Channing Tatum.
That's who it was. Channing
Yeah,
Tatum.
your favorite. I actually have never seen the movie, so I couldn't tell you. But Magic Mo is a different kind of show.
Yeah.
I can imagine.
I'm sure.
It might be a cross. We don't know. But I'm really excited. So you do coin tricks, and you were saying that you also do hand tricks. Is that like sleight of eye type stuff?
No,
Sleight of hand, I mean?
Sleight of hand. People really think they can. The eye is quicker than the hand, but it's not. The hand is quicker than the eye.
You're not going to steal my wallet or anything, right?
No, only, but just don't get too close.
Yeah.
That's the important thing. Don't get close.
And how long have you been practicing magic?
Oh, I've been doing that for probably 10 years, off and on.
Really? You picked it up later in life, too,
Yes,
huh?
I did later in
And
life.
what
Later
made
in
you-
life? What do you mean later in life?
Well, later in life than, 18. I was thinking you
Oh.
started as a kid, like
Oh,
as a
okay.
magician. My question is, what made you jump into being a magician? Like, what caught your eye?
Well,
into-
two things. Number one, I love making people laugh and making people happy. So apart
You
from
and me both.
magic, I tell jokes too.
Yeah, and if you're
So-
not careful, he'll tell you one here today.
Yeah.
so-
oh, would love a good joke. Just keep it clean.
Yeah, okay.
For Rick's
well,
ears.
All right, this particular one, this mother went to wake up her son to go to school. So she goes up to him and she says, "Honey, it's time to get up. You got to get ready to go to school." And he looks up at his mother and he says, "I don't want to go. I don't want to go." And she says, "Give me 2 reasons why you don't want to go." And he says, "Well, number one, the teachers hate me and the students do too." She said, "That's no reason. Come on, get up. You got to go." And the son says, "Well, you give me 2 reasons why I have to go." And the mother says, "Well, for one, You're 52 years old, and for 2, you're the principal of the school.
But I'm pumped.
Yeah, nice. Okay, I like it. You got me way off. I was like waiting. I didn't expect that to come. That's a very good joke.
Yeah.
Nice work. Now I know why you're Magic Mo. And so do our listeners.
He made a crowd disappear.
He did. Oh, Rick. Rick's always trying to be a funny guy.
He's
So.
trying to, yeah. Yeah, you could have been a stand-up.
Yeah.
Rick?
Oh,
No,
wait, I'm waiting.
Sit down.
Stand up what?
He comes up with some good lines once in a while.
He does.
Yes, he does.
He wrote them all down before the show.
Uh-huh.
Hey, it took me 3 weeks to memorize them.
I know.
But
That's awesome stuff.
that was great.
Thank you.
Thank you,
We
Magic
really
Mo.
appreciate it.
You're
Thank you.
welcome.
And thank you guys for coming on, too.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Teaching
Pleasure.
us
Thank
about
you for having
refurbishments.
us.
It actually, I looked at the topic and I'm saying, oh,
This has got to be boring,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
what are we going to talk about?
Well, the first thing he said is, what is refurbishing, Eric? And I said the same thing. I said, I don't know. We're going to find out at the show. Thank God.
Have we answered
You
all?
guys did. You guys told us
because,
exactly what it was. You scared the
when
heck out of
I
us.
said to Eric, refurbishing, that your productivity in your company is going to go up because you refurbish your furniture.
Yeah.
But I'm glad you guys cleared all that up.
You
The
did
white
clear it
paper
up.
actually validates that.
Yeah, it does.
There's a
We
lot of
agree.
research. I don't know if you had a chance to look
I
at
looked
it. I know
at
I
it.
said
I
in
read it.
advance, but there's a lot of research that went into that, and the backup is there. It actually absolutely has that type of an impact.
I can imagine. Just because the health of the actual employee over
That's
the
right.
course of 365 days, a dirty seat probably adds 2 days
Well,
of
it does.
sickness
It does
without
two
it.
things. It increases productivity because, like you said, dress for success, and it decreases absenteeism.
Right, exactly.
So it's
That's
both.
right.
It's a top line, bottom line impact. I mean, it's tangible.
Oh, there's one more ingredient, and that is employee motivation. You know how many thousands and millions of dollars corporations spend a year trying to motivate their employees?
Yep.
Ball game tickets,
Wasted
parties,
dollars.
Christmas parties, every,
Yeah.
and so consequently they're trying to motivate. Well, what about cleaning up their own environment?
Yes,
How
first and
about keeping a
foremost.
clean, wholesome environment? So when they come in, they say, "Oh, the company cared enough about me to clean my environment."
And what's really interesting is that's so subtle. Most people don't know it, and they don't know why they feel better, and they don't know why they're more productive.
Right,
But it actually is a motivator. He's right.
is.
right.
Yeah.
I can imagine. It's
No
like
wonder
part-
I'm demotivated every day. I'm going into my office.
that has a lot to do with the.
What's your address? What's your phone
That has a
number?
lot to do with the cinnamon rolls you probably just crushed before you walked in.
Yeah,
he
so
eats,
they
he
have-
eats Cinnabon every morning, comes in the office and expects to be all motivated. Those
Hey.
things make you want to grab a hammock immediately.
Yeah, look at this physique.
Yeah, I know.
Is caused
Well, the
by
YouTube channel does love
maintaining.
it. It does keep up the whole screen.
Well, before we're going to come to the close. I want to talk about some of the things coming up because we have some things coming up.
We do. We have a lot of things coming up. We're going to be at in Seaport for October 11th. We're going to do.
That's at Rose Wharf.
Yeah, Rose Wharf.
Boston Harbor Hotel.
Yeah, that's what I meant to say. Boston Harbor Hotel, not the
We'd
Seaport.
get it right one of these.
Yeah, once because everything's off the top of the head, so people who know us understand. Yeah, we'll be doing the Let's Get Ready for College. We're going to do a live, a recorded show from there to help promote their nonprofit to allow people who don't have the same privileges in order to get a college education, which is a must in today's world, as we know, being two guys who don't have one. We're also going to New York. We'll be down in New York in November the 13th to do the financial. What is it? What do you call it? I can't even think.
Financial show.
Yeah, it is. It's the
Financial.
Yeah, I know. Why can't we think of it off the top of our head? It's the New York Financial Trade
New
Show.
York Finance. That's why it was
Yeah,
so
the
difficult.
New York
to name.
Finance Expo. There it is. Anthony Kazazis, we apologize. We've only been working on this with you for 6 months.
We'll be doing the show that actually we'll be doing our New York show
Yes.
from there, and we will also be speaking.
We will be. That is, I believe, November.
I don't know if I can speak.
We'll
but-
also be at doing a recorded show from the IRM Awards night, November 13th,
That's right.
up in Boston. I apologize for the Anthony Kazazis. That's November 14th. So we'd take a train right out of Boston after our show and go down and do another show for New York. Those are the big shows that we have doing on site.
And
Look at that.
Wait.
Plug there. I even used their words.
September 25th, the Providence Hilton, Cocktails and Conversation.
Rick will be dancing.
I will
Oh.
be dancing. I'll be singing. I'll be doing the radio show. I'll be doing everything like I always do.
Wow, wow.
And I'm going to announce it now. November 19th in Hartford, Connecticut, we will be having another Cocktails and Conversation.
We go to Hartford next.
Yeah.
Nice.
6
November
to 9.
19th.
We don't have a definite on the location yet, but I think
But we do know it's going to be in Hartford.
it will be in Hartford, and it'll most likely be in the Hartford Hilton.
You had a big thing for the Hiltons. You love
I
them.
do.
Yeah.
Maybe it's those Hilton points I have.
Is that what it is? Nice.
I'm putting away for a trip to Hawaii,
Yeah, I hear you.
But yeah,
Hopefully
so
during the winter months. It's
Yeah.
really.
But before we go to a break, I'm
pretty sure you're
before
gonna
we end the
close
show,
the deal.
I just
Rick.
want you guys to announce one more time
how
to get a hold of you.
Well, you can get to the website, www.protek, spelled Protek, corporation.com. That's all one word. Or you can give us a call at 781-963-8813. Again, 781-963-8813.
And if you need a magician at the next show coming up in Providence, give me a call.
All right, we might take you up
you
on
know,
that.
we might
Mo.
take you up on that offer.
All right?
Yeah, Magic Mo. We can put that. And
Nice.
but I appreciate you guys coming on. We thank you.
Thank
You did
you.
a great job.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I think this deal is done.